This is the QuNeo made by Keith McMillan Instruments. It is a MIDI controller that was funded via Kickstarter. They were looking for $15,000 to produce this thing, and they checked out with an impressive $165,000. So I'd like to take the time to individually salute each of the 678 backers that put their money where their mouth was on Kickstarter to get this product made. So here they are down below. I apologize for the real jankness of the scrolling of this graphic, but I just kind of mouse wheeled over the top of the Kickstarter site to get it, so don't tell anyone. I'm going to tell you how you can win this very model at the end of this episode. My name is Rupert Brown and this is the DSP project. The QuNeo has a single connection of a micro USB connection on the side here, meaning that it is indeed bus powered, so big thumbs up for bus powered. It is almost the exact same footprint as an iPad. It's also nice and thin like an iPad, but slightly lighter than an iPad as it's made from a sort of a rubberized plastic on the back here. And even though it is plastic and quite thin, it still feels quite rigid, quite a solid thing to hold in your hands. All of the controls are also pressure sensitive, as well as LED backlit like a Christmas tree. You've got 4 vertical faders here, 4 horizontal faders here, as well as a high resolution crossfader, which is actually multi-touch, as with a crossfader here you can also use a width parameter between your 2 fingers, so that's kind of cool. You've got 2 rotary controls here, which can be used kind of like you'd imagine a rotary control would be used for, but also there's a parameter for the change of direction, so regardless of where your finger is on the pad, when it changes it sends a MIDI signal. You've got 16 pads here. Each one of these 16 pads sends note information as well as continuous pressure of the pad, as well as the location in both the X and Y parameters. You've also got a selection of buttons on there as well, which helps with navigation and bank select. I thought the easiest way to show you what life is like living with QuNeo is if we go through together and actually map up a pad from scratch. The guy desperately searching YouTube trying to figure out why his QuNeo won't work. Let's just show you the MIDI settings, just so you know. That's how I've got mine set up and it works fine. So start with updating your firmware and set your configuration up like so. Here we are in the grid preset for Ableton Live. It works much the same as an APC 40 or a Launchpad. You've got your clips up here that you can see where I've got clips loaded in, and so I can launch them from each corner and stop there. So we've got 4 rows of clips coming down. Then we've got a stop button for the individual channel. We've got a track device on and off there, and then we've got solo and record arm at the bottom. We've got 7 slots going left to right, with the 8th side being held for scene launches. So if you want to launch everything in a scene in one line, you hit that far right hand side. And then we've got a stop all clips also on that far right hand side. We can move up and down, move our little red box up and down, or move it left and right to navigate with those arrows there. And that's the basics of the grid mode. So I'm going to record the 3rd channel there, and now I want to change the preset to go over to the drum mode preset. So if I just push this once, and it shows me what preset I've got selected here, preset 9, and I want preset 10, which is the drum rack mode for Ableton. So we now, because I've recorded that 3rd track, we should be able to now control it. So as you can see, the pads are pressure sensitive. Easy. So now let's map something. Now I've got a default flanger here, and Live's giving us a good tip as to what parameters might be good for an XY pad, as well as a beat repeat. So I want to map these now to this bottom corner here. Now I know that by default the pressure and XY is actually turned off. So if I skip over to this cool Darth Vader QuNeo editor here, I'm not going to go into deep detail with the editor, but let's just say that it's all there basically. If you on each control you can set up all different bank parameters of which values and things. So let's just focus on this bottom left hand corner here. I want to turn the pressure on, and I want that to be MIDI value 72. Let's make that 73 and that's 74, picking those at random. So I'm going to save preset, update the preset, come back to live here. Don't know if I need to select that again. Let's select that preset again. So now when it comes to mapping, if I was to select MIDI map, select what I want to control, and then hit the pad, it's going to jump all over the place because it's sending multiple information. It's going to send the X, the Y, and the pressure all at once. So how do we get around trying to map this? It's actually quite an elegant solution that QuNeo have got. We basically just hold the preset button down for a second, and then when it all lights up like that, you let go. So now we're in coma mode, which allows us to send individual parameters. So from in each corner of the pad, you've got the note value here, the pressure value here, the X value here, and the Y value here. So the delay time, I think, is along the bottom, so we'll push that as the X value. Lights up so it shows you which parameters you've already mapped. Now I want to select the feedback. We'll make that on the Y value there. And I'm going to set the wet dry as the pressure. So when it's not being pressed, then there'll be no effect by the flanger, but as soon as there's pressure on the pad, it will start to affect the flanger, and the harder you press, the more of the flange effect you're going to get. Moving over to the beat repeater, let's do the repeat as the pressure. So I'll push that in the top hand corner there again. And let's say, do we need to do anything else? Let's do the grid. And so we'll do the grid on the Y value, let's say. Now I might want to try and rein these in a little bit. Okay, now let's have a look. We'll take MIDI map O off. To get out of coma mode, we just push that little preset button there again. So let's see what that does. We're not getting much of the flanger there. It's not getting up to 100%, and it's something I've noticed with the sensitivity. So the mapping for this wet and dry to this pad is 0 to 100%. So you'd think that if I pushed lightly, I would get a little bit like that, which is perfect. And then the harder I push, I should be able to get up to 100%. But no matter how hard I push, it seems that 69.3 is as high as I can get on that value. So that brings us to the global sensitivity. So if we come back to the editor here, we've got a global sensitivity knob. Now, if I turn the sensitivity up, let's crank that up, save it, update preset, bing, bing. So now I should be able to see I can get 100%. Let's try it now with a bit more sensitivity. Another interesting control in the grid mode is the ability to set the start and end points of a loop using these rotary controls. So you can see here as I move, I can sort of slide this start point back and forward, and then the end point is set here. So let's try and play with that maybe while that's running. Very it's trying to get that on the floor, get it to stop on the floor. I can do it. There we go. Oh, and my start point's out as well. Oh, still out. Let's try to get that back. Oh. We Nearly there. Okay. There we go. So you can see how quick and easy that is to line that up. I really like the QuNeo. It's a unique device, but the interface of your finger without butter doesn't score high in accuracy. That being said though, it's not really a problem because you can program and perform around that. So using maximum and minimum values inside of Live to make sure you're always working within the sweet spot. And if you kind of approach it as a new instrument and learn to work with it as it performs, not necessarily taking your exact dynamics of how you may be used to interacting with knobs and pots, then I think you'll find yourself with a very expressive, very portable and very capable live performance controller. And if you really want to go crazy like some sort of LED star warrior and let people touch your face as you massage out a crazy new synth solo, you can get the QuNeo Rogue, which looks kind of like another QuNeo that slaps on the bottom, which gives you a battery and a wireless transmitter. So you can use this wirely as well, which is quite a nice option. However, I would be less inclined to recommend the QuNeo for studio use only, just because you don't get the same accuracy as using hands-on knobs and faders. Now, when I talk about accuracy, I'm not talking about the technical sensitivity of the controls, but more in the ergonomics of hand-on machine. It's hard to beat those tried and true controls of knobs and faders. If you've enjoyed this review and you're thinking about buying one of these bad boys, please use the purchase link in the description below. As well as that, while you're there, you might want to sign up to the newsletter on the dspproject.com. Then you'll find out about episodes first, as well as give you a slight head start in some of the competitions as well, giving you a little bit of a better chance of winning some of the prizes. Speaking of competitions, if you want to win this, go to the dspproject.com/win, and I'll put in the details of what you need to do there. Loopmasters.com, they've got an absolutely huge library of samples there. If you use the code DSP10, you'll get 10% off your order, as well as Plugin Boutique, a great place to buy plugins. They've got a wide range of brands there, as well as some free plugins as well, and the same code DSP10 will get you 10% off your entire order. Finally, DSP Mastering, it's my mastering business. Music is what I do all day, every day. I'm really passionate about it, and I'd like to work with you if you're interested in really trying to bring out the best in your music. I've got some beautiful analog equipment here, some of which has been custom modified to get a really exquisite sound. So if you're interested in hearing what your work could sound like through that, hit me up at dspmastering.com. That has been it for this episode of the DSP Project. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.